So as you can see here, we have multiple cases of real life company internal scams that happened specifically from deepfaking. Recently, there was an article that came out from Daily Mail, and this was a paywall version. But basically what it was saying is that there was a video, they saw it, and it said that Charlie Kirk appointed Erika to run the company. And this is the video that we know that Candace Owens has been looking for, and she wanted them to release publicly because a lot of people don't believe them. Well, let's dig deeper into this because there's more information, and I think you should look at it from a technical perspective as well, and a historical perspective, not just hearsay, not just like, hey, I think this is what happened. Trust me, bro. Right? So let's get into that. It appears that TPUSA has been using a company called VFX Los Angeles, also called VFX LA, a Hollywood-based company specializing in deepfakes, voice cloning, AI lip sync, and digital creations of people, including deceased individuals. This matches the context you're asking about. I asked it about that. TPUSA Turning Point USA employee Marcus Wada, not sure how that's pronounced, involved in strategy productions, has been linked to their AI voice tech, and the organization met with VFX LA for these capabilities, especially discussed in relation to post-Charlie Kirk events and internal voice cloning for presentations and voiceovers. Now, I know that there are some podcasters and people that do regular AI videos and stuff like that, and they've done similar. You don't need a big company like this VFX LA. You don't need that to do this. You can do it in a lot of online software. You can also do it in like Resolve. They just have you read a couple different sentences so they get all the different syllables and the way you articulate certain things. And then they can build an entire voice AI catalog using your voice. And then you can just type in what you want it to say and it'll say it, even with like the nuances of how you talk, your pace, voice inflections, all that stuff. And it says here, TPUSA has publicly admitted to meeting with deepfake AI companies like this. Andrew Colvett confirmed their approach for deepfakes of leadership, but claimed they declined for specific purposes. However, critics, including Candace Owens, they report allegations of ongoing internal use of voice cloning for AI events and content. It is proven, they've admitted, that Pastor John Amanchukwu is a TPUSA faith pastor, and he appears at many of their events. And the voice cloning deepfake tech discussions tie into broader accusations about AI-generated elements, including voices used in TPUSA presentations. Now, I believe I heard that was true. If I'm incorrect, I'm incorrect. But it does sound like, at least for him specifically, they'll generate audio, right? And then they'll use that for certain presentations and things that they do. No public evidence shows VFX LA specifically is deepfaking Amanchukwu's likeness on stage, but the company's tools are what TPUSA has been connected to and partially admitted engaging with for this kind of work. So they did partially admit that. You see that there? I know you see it. And then the other side of this is I was thinking to myself, like, they all are saying these different things that, Charlie wanted her to take his place and they wanted her to be president and all these other types of things. I wanted to see if there's anything historically that supports the idea of using deepfake AI to scam or to manipulate something within a company, especially like in the C-suite and the leadership, and I found a few. We have the Hong Kong Arup case 2024. A finance worker at a multinational Arup Hong Kong office was tricked into transferring $25.6 million across 15 transactions. Scammers set up a video conference where the CFO and other executives appeared real using deepfake video plus audio cloned from public footage. The employee only realized it after later verifying with the headquarters. This is one of the most documented multi-person deepfake video scams. So they didn't just deepfake one person and not just audio. They did video and audio of the entire staff. UK energy firm CEO voice clone 2019. Scammers use AI voice synthesis trained on public recordings to impersonate a German parent company's CEO. This is a case where the highest level in the company was deepfaked. The UK subsidiary CEO transferred $243,000 to a supposed Hungarian supplier after an urgent call. This is often cited as one of the earliest confirmed AI voice deepfake frauds. Now, this was back all the way in 2019. Imagine how much better the technology is now. There's also another one, UAE company voice clone 2020-2021. Fraudsters used deepfake audio to impersonate a director during an acquisition, leading to a $35 million in fraudulent transfers authorized by a bank employee who believed the voice was legitimate. So as you can see here, we have multiple cases of real-life company internal scams that happened specifically from deepfaking. And in one case, deepfaking multiple people, video and audio. It was convincing enough. This was 2 years ago, that they got them to put a bunch of money up, thinking it was the CEO and other people within this company. That's crazy. It goes on to say that many similar incidents have followed, losses in hundreds of thousands to tens of millions of dollars, often involving voice cloning for calls or full video deepfakes for meetings. These exploit authority and urgency, but are discovered post-transfer via verification. So it seems they're saying that once these are actually looked into and dug into later, they realize that they're deepfakes, but in the moment, it's convincing enough that maybe convincing Daily Mail, for example, they're convincing enough that it seems like maybe this is what that person actually said. Then I want to go on to look at Daily Mail in general. Like, why did they pick Daily Mail? For example, during the Nancy Guthrie case, TMZ, of all people, is the one who received 5 or 6 different ransom notes, but nobody else, right? Just kind of strange. People kind of saw that as why TMZ? What credibility do they have, right? Why didn't they give it to New York Times or the Washington Post or Fox News, right? Why TMZ? So they brought us a few good things. One specifically being Lance Twiggs in the Charlie Kirk case. This was the supposed trans lover of Tyler Robinson, and they found him, tracked him down, took pictures of him and that kind of stuff. Very invasive, but they found him, right? So these type of things, are legitimate and helpful, maybe in the case. But in general, I asked, has Daily Mail ever been in controversy? Okay, now obviously any person, any company has been in controversy at some point. That's just the nature of being alive and being human. But it said, yes, the Daily Mail has a long history of controversy and criticism regarding its reporting. Its methods have drawn scrutiny across multiple fronts, including a notable Wikipedia ban in 2017, where volunteer editors formally designated the outlet as an unreliable source for citations. That's for Daily Mail. This is the company that supposedly had a closed-door session behind a paywall with TPUSA to verify this video and this audio where Charlie Kirk appointed Erika Kirk as the CEO and wanted her to succeed him. The publication has faced major controversies in the last several years. Information gathering methods. The publisher has faced major legal battles, including a high-profile lawsuit from figures like Prince Harry and Sir Elton John regarding alleged unlawful information gathering. The publisher has also faced backlash for intrusive tactics, such as repeatedly knocking on the doors or harassing the families of victims. Misleading health reporting. The publication frequently draws fire from medical professionals and organizations for sensationalizing health reporting. It has a history of distorting studies, using exaggerated headlines, and promoting unverified claims of miracle cures. Misrepresentation of climate change, often portraying major environmental reports in a hyperbolic or misleading manner. And then here's the really important one. Sensationalism and fact-checking. The outlet frequently leads the UK press in breaches of editorial codes of conduct and inaccuracy complaints tracked by press regulators. Critics regularly accuse the paper of prioritizing outrage, bigotry, and clickbait over factual, unbiased news reporting. So I just want you to keep all that in mind when we're talking about who we're dealing with that's verifying this video and audio for TPUSA. Now, if TPUSA released this video today and they said, we didn't want to release this because we didn't want to give Candace the pleasure and that kind of thing, but they show it and we see it and it doesn't look like it's AI. And Charlie's like, oh my gosh, I love this woman so much. She's the one that I want the company to go to. Then I'd be like, cool, it's all yours. Do with it what you must, right? Do your worst or your best, whatever it may be. And this is just to remind you kind of how we got here.
It's an enormously important organization. And I understand you have some news on that front.
Yeah. Since everything has happened, I think the number one question is what is going to happen with Turning Point? What is going to happen next? And I'm pleased to be able to announce with you, and I think it's appropriate because of who you are and who this person is, that the Turning Point board has unanimously selected Erika Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board. And not only is that amazing in and of itself, but I can assure you, Megan, that Charlie told me personally, and he told others, he probably told Mikey, that if anything ever happened to him, that this is exactly what he wanted.
So again, the questions everyone else has been talking about already is, if he thought he was in danger as the CEO, why would he appoint his wife in that situation, especially considering the fact that he would be putting her in a situation where she's the only parent to the kids? Something happened to her, now you have orphans, right? I'm sure TPUSA would come together as a family and take care of them and raise them and protect them and all that stuff, but why would he put his wife in that situation? Not to mention, he always said that women belonged in the home, so he would have wanted her to be home. Not to mention, she also made a lot of money, right? Like, she's made enough money that if she manages it correctly, she is set for life at this point. So she doesn't need to work. So the mission itself could be carried on by Andrew and Blake and Amanchuku and McCoy's and all those people that are in the company right now. There's hundreds of people that could carry the torch. She's not going campus to campus talking to people. She's not doing these prove me wrong debates like he did. She's not filling his specific position, what he stood for, or what he did. She's just filling the title, CEO. Maybe Charlie said it, maybe he didn't, but they won't release the video. They released it behind a paywall to Daily Mail, and it's a trust me bro situation, so that's what we get. And then, of course, we have Blake Neff, who repeats basically a similar type of thing.
The reason Erika is front and center at Turning Point is because when Charlie was alive, people repeatedly asked, Charlie, we're worried something will happen to you. People always speculated that something could happen to Charlie. And when he was asked, he would first of all, he was totally fearless. He would just say like, oh, it'll be fine. Erika will take over for me. That is what he said over and over.
So just plain and simple, Charlie just walked around, hung out with everybody. Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, TPUSA, we're doing great. We just killed it at that campus back there. Yeah, if I ever die, it's going to Erika. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then they go on a plane trip, and they're on a plane. They're just hanging out. You know, they have a beer or whatever. I don't know if he drank. You know, he's having a mimosa, hanging out. Like, you know what? If I ever die, this company should go to Erika. I want her to lead. They're like, oh yeah, noted. We got it. Thanks. You tell us every day. You tell us all the time. Almost too much. Kind of weird. But we get it. We got it. And we're going to share that message out. Even if Charlie said 100% and wrote it down and made it a law within TPUSA, the board can just not vote for her. They can vote. I mean, like, it wasn't his company, right? He was just the face of the company. He started the company. You know, he was a partial co-starter or like a co-founder, but this was not his company. The board could vote him out if they wanted, in fact. So for the board to unanimously choose her is strange, especially considering like her qualifications and basically the fact that she was like the wife of the CEO. Those are very strange. It's not common, right? And in cases where it has happened, it doesn't always work out that well.
I don't think anybody would accept a leader of the organization who they didn't feel completely understood Charlie and would be 100% dedicated to fulfilling his vision for where this group is going.
Well, and let me just add one more thing, and I want Mikey to chime in here as well. But in the immediate hours afterwards, Erika got a call from somebody very important. I'll leave that vague out of privacy, but she got a call from somebody very important. And the question was, what do you know? Sort of asking how much of what's going on behind the scenes and with the relationship, like, what do you know? And her reply back was, everything.
So what's everything? Are they talking about how to run the company, what he wanted, his footprint, his blueprints, they always say, the journals, right? Does she have access to everything? Is she basically a swap out perfect Charlie replacement? That's what they're making it seem like. Now, the biggest thing about Charlie, besides his charisma and who he was and what he stood for and that kind of stuff, as far as what we know, we don't know behind the scenes who he was, right? But what he showed publicly and what he did was primarily debating other people. He welcomed battling voices to come against him and challenge him. We don't see any of that happening anymore with TPUSA. And when we do, it's like a Timu version of Charlie, right? But of course, and this is something I haven't heard anyone else talk about yet, not only are they saying that Charlie appointed her and wanted her to be a successor, but now we have talk like this, which makes it even stranger.
I think Erika would be an amazing president someday. But that's a whole nother thing. And let me ask you guys this about first Erika and then the future.
Yeah.
I get emails saying, can you get this to Erika? I want her, I mean, like, just people who are, oh, how can I help her? All this, what can you tell us? I know it's got to be brutal right now. But what news can you share about Erika, and what can people do other than pray for her?
I look back to the conversation that you and I had, Frank, 2 days after September 10th. And I called you just to check in, and maybe it was a couple days after. And you said, hey, what's the succession plan at Turning Point? Do you guys have a plan? And I said, yeah, Charlie always had a plan. And And he said, please, God, tell me it's Erika. I was like, yeah, Frank, I can't confirm nor deny.
That's right.
And Charlie would have these notebooks, beside telling Erika everything, that he would get home for the day and they would download for hours on end. He had these notebooks that he would always be writing in 24/7. And at the end, he would do a few of them every year and he'd have them on his bookshelf. And at the end of the year, he'd review them. So there's probably like almost 100 of them. There's so many of them. There's a lot of pages, dedicated to Frank Turek in there. And
what he's saying here is that Charlie was planning this all along. He had a blueprint. They use this word a lot. He had a blueprint for Erika, and he left it in journals, and he downloaded it to her every day. So basically, he was training her the entire time they were together, even though he's saying that wives are supposed to be at home with the kids, and he was always on the road gone. He would download with her every day at home, and they would write in these journals. And all this information was saying that Erika Kirk and Frank Turek and Mikey McCoy and Andrew and Blake Neff, all these people are here, have this blueprint to move forward with. So what is the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's interesting, all this deepfake stuff. It's been around for a long time. It's gotten very, very good. In fact, I think there was one point where there's been several movie trailers that have come out and the actors had to say, no, that's not me. That's not me, 100%. I think Tom Cruise was one of the first ones, and that was years ago. That was like before 2019. And then I showed you cases where there's actual corporations who lost tens or hundreds of millions of dollars from scammers who were deep faking the staff at the company, video and audio, during WebExes and live streams, right? That's crazy to be that convincing. But now we have a situation here where we have the Daily Mail, who, according to a lot of allegations online, has a bad reputation, does poor reporting, does insincere or inaccurate reporting, and they're behind a paywall, and they're the ones that TPUSA chose to go to specifically to view this video and then tell everyone else that it's legit. Don't mind us if we're skeptical. All they have to do is release it. Whether they like Candace or not, just release it. The public can say, hey, you guys were right. All praise TPUSA, and this whole thing is done. But that's probably not going to happen. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Does this seem legitimate? Do you trust the Daily Mail to handle this very sensitive information? Do you think that maybe a deep fake is being used in this situation? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this around. And there are ways to help the channel down in the description. And I'll see you in the next one.